Great copywriting can be the difference between a sea of leads or a puddle. That is why we are talking to our special guest today, and she is going to share some of her best copywriting secrets to help you get more leads and clients. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe marketing shouldn't be difficult. All you need is the right plan. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I am super excited to have with me Alyson Lex. Allison is a direct response copywriter and the co-host of the System to Thrive podcast. Allison, welcome and thanks for being here with me.
Thanks so much for having me. I am so excited. I know we connected on my podcast. Your episode comes out later this year, and now I'm on yours. It's win-win situation.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you for returning the favor and coming on and chatting with me. And I'm excited to talk about this because copywriting is often overlooked and it should not be. So you are the expert, and I'm gonna pick your brain today.
Let's do it.
Before I do that, let's jump into some rapid fire questions just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. You ready to jump into this?
I'm ready.
Okay, awesome. When you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
If it's spring or summer, I'm in the garden. If it is fall or winter, I'm usually cozied up with a book.
Okay, love it. What's your hidden talent?
I can identify any sound in my house without having seen what made it.
I've never heard that before. I like that. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
It wasn't actually advice. It was just something an old friend used to say all the time that stuck, and it's not that serious. And it really helped me just kind of understand that sometimes things are not that serious and just take everything in stride.
Take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes we blow things out of proportion.
Exactly. In 5-10 minutes, is this going to matter? In 5 months, is it going to matter? In 5 years, it's definitely not going to matter.
My wife and I are always asking our kids, is this going to matter tomorrow?
Right.
Yes or no?
Same idea. It's not that serious.
Yeah. No? Okay. Then let's drop it. What's one thing about you that surprises people?
The one thing about me that surprises people is when I tell them that I have once been bitten by a giraffe.
Oh my God. Where did that happen?
The story is not as exciting as the punchline. I'll share it. I was at the zoo. They have those little things where you can feed them lettuce. And I was trying to get a picture of me feeding the giraffe lettuce, and the giraffe got impatient.
So we, when our kids are still young, but when they were younger, we used to go to the Colorado Springs Zoo quite often. And they have an exhibit like that where it's up and the giraffe just poked their head over. It was the coolest thing. Our kids loved it. Fortunately, nobody ever got bit. So did you have to get like a shot or anything, or no?
It didn't break the skin. It didn't. I mean, like, I don't know if you fed horses carrots and they have those big teeth. Giraffe teeth are very similar. They have long tongues. They usually grab the lettuce with their tongue, but he's very impatient, and he just nipped. It wasn't like a big, my whole hand didn't go in there. It wasn't. But that's why I say the punchline is better than the story.
Yes. That's another good one. What does success mean to you?
Success for me is being able to give myself and my family the life that we want, which includes time freedom, giving back, and I always like to say, like, my one goal for my kid is that he grows up not to be a jerk.
Okay.
And so that would be success.
Yes. Awesome. Where's your happy place?
I have a pond in my backyard. I call it my Zen spot. If I need to decompress, I just go and I sit and I watch my fish and I count my frogs. I have frogs that have come to live in the pond, tons of tadpoles. I count them. I find them and count them. It's weird.
So frogs, and then are they like koi or goldfish?
I have both. I have koi and goldfish, and we get heroned quite frequently. We have blue heron here in Baltimore, and they like to come and swoop. So we have fewer koi than we used to.
Oh man! So like you see the circle of life happening in your pond.
I have been known on occasion to run through my backyard screaming to get away from my fish. And these birds are big. I don't know if you've ever seen a great blue heron up
Y-
close, but they're taller than me.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're very intimidating, but I will yell at them and I've, watched my poor fish fly through the air.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Um, what what qualities do you value in the people whom you spend time with?
I value sense of humor. I value loyalty, honesty. I value positivity
Okay.
and comfort. Just
Okay.
being that comfortable feeling that you have when you're around people. I really
Yeah.
value that feeling.
All good qualities.
Yes.
So before we jump into talking about copywriting, just tell us more about what you're doing, the types of businesses you work with, all that good stuff.
So small question. Got it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I write what's called direct response sales copy. And the reason I make the distinction there is there's branding copy, there's advertising copy, and then there's copy that is designed to get your people to take one singular action.
Yep.
Most online marketers use direct response, even if they don't know it.
Yes.
So, depending on the market, sometimes I'll say I'm a high conversion sales copywriter or what have you, but direct response is the name of the game.
Okay.
And I write anything that comes what I call post traffic. You have a community on Facebook you're trying to convert and a landing page? Cool, I'll write the landing page. It's up to you to write the post. I don't do ads, I don't do traffic. I do all of the conversion stuff on the back end. Your
Got
sales
it.
pages, landing pages, emails, websites, that kind of thing. And I typically work in the expert space, people who sell knowledge and or transformation, so coaches, course creators, that kind of thing. But frankly, I'm a little more industry agnostic than I probably should be. I like
Well,
working for lots of
if you can
people.
write copy, you can write copy.
And you learn stuff from everything you do.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to take information from, for instance, selling software and potentially sell a membership or vice versa. So
Yeah. One of the things you said before we jumped on air here was that if the client brings the traffic, you will convert it.
bring me the traffic and I'll convert them.
Yeah, I think that's a very easy way for people to understand it. You're not writing ad copy. You're writing all the stuff that once the traffic comes there to convert that lead to a client.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. I love it. So we can't have a conversation without talking about mistakes. What are some of the common mistakes that you see people make with their copywriting?
How long is this live stream?
Yeah, exactly. We can go on and on. But yeah,
Yeah.
People are making mistakes all the time. So let's
Yes.
bring those to the surface so people don't make them.
Number one is they focus too much on themselves or their product.
Yeah.
They do not focus enough on the customer. And the reason that this is a mistake is I don't care about you. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry to say it like that. And it sounds really harsh, but people inherently are selfish creatures. And it doesn't matter what we hear about. Our first knee jerk reaction is, how does this affect me?
Yeah. It's so
And
funny
then,
you say this because we talked about this exact same thing when you interviewed
yeah,
me on your podcast.
it's that common.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sucks to think about it, but our customers don't care. They care about how we can help them solve the roadblock or problem that they have.
Right. And, the thing is, like, of course you care about your friends. Of course you feel connected to people. And of course you can be on someone's side. But if they don't have your best interests at heart, you're not on their side because they're not on yours.
Yeah.
And so when you're marketing to someone, it's really important to make them feel that they're not alone, you understand them, and you're on their team.
Yeah.
And the way we do that in a couple of different ways. And, this is kind of a related mistake, but the one way to not do this is start your marketing with the word I. or me
Yeah.
or my or us or our or any personal possessive personal pronoun, right? The first person pronoun.
Yeah.
You want to avoid that. I want to say for the first third or more of your copy. The only exception, I know you were going to say something. I'm going to let you talk
No,
really
it's
fast.
good.
I'm taking over.
It's all good.
The only exception to this is if you can immediately take it back to them. Like if you say, for instance, I understand how hard it is. You're experiencing XYZ. That's the only exception to that third or half rule I just mentioned.
Yeah. So I love that. And that statement you just made, the way I look at that is it's an empathetic statement.
Mm-hmm.
You are using I, but you're letting them know that you understand what it's like to be in their shoes.
Right. You're with
So we shouldn't be using we, I, us. We should be focusing more on you, your,
mm-hmm.
that type of terminology.
Yes.
That's going to help us not talk about ourselves.
Yes, that's exactly it. And that's why I say that rule, because it helps you shift the focus.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell anybody on my copy services or my trainings or anything if I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
I've done all of this. These are the results I've gotten. This is what, I haven't given you a reason to care yet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you that reason to care by connecting the dots for you on how it's going to impact or improve your life.
Why do you think, I actually had this conversation with somebody, I think on the last podcast episode I had, where especially in the internet marketing space, you see people all the time who are using ads and videos where it's like, hey, look at me. Here's my private jet, or here's my awesome house right on the water. And why do you feel like people do that? I mean, does it work to a certain extent, or is that just the type of people they want to attract? Why are they doing that?
Okay. So I'm not 100% privy to the last podcast episode.
Yeah.
Hashtag transparency.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you were introduced to the term bro marketing.
Bro, no. Okay, I like country music, and I'm familiar with the term bro country. So
right.
I have an idea where you're going with this. But yes, please.
There is a subset of the especially online marketing industry that is referred to as bro marketing. A very good friend of mine, Alicia Barr, calls it Lambro marketing because of the Lamborghini.
Yes,
and I really like that. But it is about status and what quote unquote bro marketers have identified. And, there's a lot of hate for bro marketers, but I say you've got your audience, more power to you. But they have identified that their audience values that status. And so by showcasing that status, they're tapping into a value of their audience. If your audience does not value that status, that style of marketing will not work for you.
Yeah. So it works for them because they understand their ideal clients and their target market. That's why that works.
100%.
Awesome. I love it. What other mistakes? So let's say I understand I'm not talking about me. I'm focusing on my clients' problems and the results that we can get for them. I've got that nailed down. What mistakes do people still make on top of that?
On top of that, a lot of people will focus on what they give or what they deliver, what they do, the features of their thing, rather than, this is going to sound familiar, why their customer should care or the benefits. So they'll say, in this program, you're going to get 8 weeks of, sorry, I'm a mic smacker.
That's okay.
8 weeks of one-on-one calls and blah, blah, blah. And while that works to help the logical side of a brain justify a buying decision, that's not the side of the brain or the part of the brain that actually makes the buying decision. We need to connect emotionally. And we do that through expressing benefits.
Yeah.
So I love to give features, but I use a transitional statement. And my former boss and mentor, Bill Glazer, called it the 1-2 punch with bullet points. You tell them what they get. You use a transitional statement like so you can, or so that you, or so you will. And then you tell them why they care. You get 8 weeks of one-on-one calls. So transition statement.
Yeah.
Your questions will always be answered specific to you, customized for your needs, directly to your situation, right? Whatever we decide the reason they want those calls is. We're not just telling them they get these calls, we're telling them why it's awesome that they get these calls.
Yeah, why it's important and why they should care.
Why it's important and why they care. So the transition statement, always remember, if you're going to tell them what they get, transition into why they want it or why they care.
Okay.
So that's awesome. Features and benefits. I have a third mistake that I see a whole lot.
Please.
And if I teach on this with like a prepared presentation, I have a picture of this like really skinny little kid with two big boxing gloves that are too big, and he's like wimpy. And I say they wimp out. They wimp out when it comes to actually asking for the sale. They don't ask for it. They do all of this work to set up why their audience wants a thing, how it's going to transform their lives. And then it's almost like the attitude goes to, and if you want it, you can get it here.
Yeah, cool. Right. So it's not a really clear call to action of what they want them to do.
We want to make sure that we are not leaving anything to chance.
Okay.
I like to be very, very crystal clear with my call to action, even so much as saying, if you want this awesome product here at this special rate that I've given you, click the hot pink button right below, enter your credit card details, and hit submit. You will then get an email with your password. Like, give them exactly what to do and also what to expect once they do it. Okay. That's really important too, because it sets an expectation that you're going to follow through. A lot of people have been burned. A lot of people are a little wary, right? Yeah. I remember at the end of last year, I bought, and it was actually before Thanksgiving, so it was not quite the end, but it was in November. I bought a Christmas ornament for my podcast co-host, Jenny, who I know you've had on your show.
Yes.
And it was a plastic dumpster with plastic flames, and it just had 2020 on it because I always called 2020 a dumpster fire. And I bought it for her, and I had it shipped to her house, and then I never heard anything. And it was like $15. I wasn't that upset. I couldn't remember who I even bought it from, right? And I had just deemed it lost in my head. She finally got it, I think, in February or March. Right? But
oh my.
That's not the experience you want your people to have, where you're like, I don't know what happens now.
Right.
You want your people to say, once I click this button, I'll be taken to a form, and then I'll get an email. And they know exactly step by step what is going to happen, especially if you're asking them to invest a lot of money with you or a recurring amount of money. $15 wasn't a big deal. If it was $150, you can bet it would have been a bigger deal. Just because of that's the amount of the investment. It was kind of an impulse purchase. That's what I do late at night.
How do you feel about, we see all kinds of different calls to action. Sometimes people get cute with them, like I see, like we have get a free consultation. I see people, it's like, get your aha session or, whatever it may be. How do you feel about getting cute with that? Or should we be just buy now, order now? What are your thoughts on that?
So there is research that has shown that the more active call to action does work more. So for instance, for let's say a webinar registration, instead of saying sign up now, have it say, yes, save my seat. You're personalizing it to the person, but you're also making it an action item for them. I'm having trouble explaining it, but it's more personalized. When it comes to naming a discovery session or something, I'm always a fan of naming processes, sessions, whatever.
Yeah.
I say that, and my own discovery session is a discovery session.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a better name.
Yeah.
So that is the key, though. Name it something cool. If you have a cool name, don't name it something cool just to not name it what it is.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're on the phone with me, we're discovering whether we're a good fit. There's not necessarily any ahas to be had. So calling it an aha session would be misleading.
Yeah. Got it. So let's transition and start talking about sales pages. You know, we talked in the beginning that if people bring you traffic, you're going to convert that. What elements need to go into a sales page?
Oh boy. Again, I could talk about this for forever. The first thing is you have to grab their attention. You do that with a good headline. And if you're watching this video or listening to this recording, and you can, pull out some paper because I'm going to give you a formula. Audience plus benefit plus time minus objection. So who it's for, what they get, how long until they see results, and the removal of a pain point is a good formula to start a headline.
Okay.
Now, a caveat, it can be like a stool or a table, right? There are 3-legged tables out there, but 2-legged tables fall over. You can use 3 out of the 4 of those if the 4th doesn't fit, but one of those things must always be a benefit. So you can have it be audience benefit time, audience benefit minus objection, audience time minus, benefit time minus objection, right? All of that, as long as benefit is one of those 3.
Okay, so one more time, the whole thing. So it's audience, benefit.
Audience plus benefit.
Yeah.
Plus time.
Yeah.
Minus objection.
Got it.
So it would be, for instance, attention online business owners. Discover how to create a simple strategy that drives leads and sales in the next 2 weeks without convoluted funnel maps that give you a headache. Okay, that is a very long, kind of crazy one. I would then take that and edit it and work with it a little bit, but I literally just spit it out.
Okay. So we've got our headline, grab it. It's the hook. It's bringing people in.
It's bringing people in. And I don't want you to give too much pressure. I don't want you to put too much pressure on the headline. Its only job is to get people to start reading.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Once you do that, we have to do what I call poking the bruise. And that is activating dormant pain. When you have a bruise, when you first hurt yourself, it hurts. The next day you have the ugly purple circle and it only hurts when you push it.
Yeah.
It's because it's not active. It's not the front of your mind anymore. And that's how your people are walking through their lives. So we're going to identify the problem and poke the bruise. Let them know, I understand this sucks for you. Remember all the stuff we said back at the beginning. I understand you're not alone.
Yeah.
I'm on your team. I understand this sucks for you. And I can imagine it's going to get worse, or if it's not solved, this is going to happen, or right. All of that. And then we want to introduce the solution. This is where you get to talk about yourself.
Just a little bit, right?
Well, by this point, you should be at least a third of the way through your copy.
Yeah.
We're spending a lot of time on that pain and that introduction. So you can say, like, this is introducing my amazing program, and this is what's included, and this is why you care what's included, and this is how it's going to help you, and this is what it's designed to solve for you, and blah, blah, blah. After that, guess what we get to do? Show them how to get it.
Got it.
Call to action. And this is where we don't want to wimp out. This is where we give them those crystal clear instructions.
Got it.
And then at the very end, we are now revisiting all the stuff we talked about in step 2, where we poke the bruise. This is where we don't let them walk away without a solution. This is where we say, with this product, with this program, you're not going to have to experience XYZ anymore. You will have this better future. It starts today, kind of thing. And the reason we format it that way, the reason this formula is set up this way is that humans, and I mentioned this, we buy based on emotion.
Yes.
But we justify that purchase with logic. And so with this formula, if you think about it, we're hitting them emotionally all the way through steps 1 and 2. Step 3 and into step 4, well, step 3, like some of step 3, but 3 and 4 are really logic focused. We're giving you all the justification there in steps 3 and 4 that you need to decide to make this purchase. But then in step 5, we're bringing you back into that emotional state, into that part of your brain that's going to actually hit that buy button.
Do you, at the end of that section 5, do you put in your call to action again?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So I do not just put a buy button. Let's say we're talking about a sales page.
Yeah.
The buy button is peppered throughout.
Yeah, all over.
All over.
Yeah.
So usually once I've gotten, and this is again, assuming that I've got a multi-module course, for example, if I'm selling a course, probably after I talk about module 4 or 5 out of 8, I'll drop a first buy button. And maybe that buy button will then knock them down to where I introduce the price. Right. And then, but then once I've introduced the price, which is really in the beginning of step 4, I'm hitting that buy button so that every scroll of the mouse, okay, if you have a scrolly mouse like I do,
yeah,
every scroll, so every screen,
yeah,
there's a buy button somewhere on there. We do not want them to have to go through the work.
Yeah.
We do not want them to have to do that. And there's one website that doesn't do this, and it drives me crazy. If you go on Amazon.com,
yeah,
and you go to a product page and you read the reviews,
yeah, you have to scroll back up.
You have to scroll all the way back up.
Yeah.
And I mentioned earlier, I'm a very impulsive late night shopper. Do you know how much money I've saved because Amazon doesn't have a buy button at the bottom of the page? I'm dead serious on that.
Yeah. So you probably don't want them to fix that, but
well, I doubt they're listening to little old me anyway.
yeah, or me. So who cares? Okay, so I want to run through these elements again because you've really broken this down into very simple steps. So we've got our headline, which is our hook. It's bringing people in.
Mm-hmm.
Step 2 is we're poking the bruise. We're bringing that that dormant pain up to the surface.
Yes.
Okay. 3 is we're introducing the solution to that pain. 4, we've got our call to action. And if I'm a good student here, I kind of wrote it down. We want to let them know what to expect. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what you can expect when you do this. Really paint that picture. And then step 5, we're revisiting that dormant pain again to bring that emotion back into it. Our call to action, we should only have one, right? So our call to action is going to be peppered throughout this page, but it's typically going to be introduced somewhere in step 3 and then be peppered throughout the rest of the page. Did I get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no more to add.
Okay. So I do. I have a question for you.
Yes.
We've all landed on these sales pages where it's a novel. I mean, you're scrolling down the page and it feels like you can never get to the bottom. Is there a general rule? You know, I mean, like I look at that and I'm like, well, maybe I'm not the ideal target for this if I'm not willing to read the page. Expand upon that a little bit.
You're absolutely right. So I do write long form sales copy. I write not so long form sales copy too, but I love long form. The longest sales letter I've ever written took 31 Microsoft Word pages. Wow, yeah, it was a very long sales page.
Okay.
And it was important because it required that much work. It was a large investment. We had a lot of objections to overcome, and there was a lot to detail that went in the program. So it required that amount because we had to do a lot of work to make the sale. chances are you're not going to require that much. Chances are you're not going to require 31 Microsoft Word pages, but you may require 8. And that's okay. A lot of the quote unquote ugly sales pages are very old school. I love old school, not going to lie. The Dan Kennedy style works for me. But I also understand the desire and the need to be graphically appealing. Let's say, to have well-designed pages. And I do believe that good design can add to the conversion and does add to the conversion. It's definitely a part of what goes into a high conversion sales or landing page. Even my landing pages are long. I want you to consider what you're asking of the people that are reading it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about landing pages for a second, and then we'll talk about sales pages. If I'm advertising a landing page via ads or to an organic audience that may or may not know me very well, I'm asking them to give me their personal contact information in exchange for something I'm promising them.
Yeah.
That's actually a very big ask. Because how do they know I'm going to make good on that promise? Or how do they know that what I'm promising them is actually going to be worth their personal contact information that I can now use in multiple ways? Because let's face it, I could upload that email address as a custom audience in Facebook and hound them forever.
Yeah.
Okay. So by giving them a little bit more information about what to expect, I'm showing them that, hey, I'm serious about this. I put my bio on a landing page for a download. I want them to know who they're talking to and who they're giving their personal contact information to. I think it's important. That's a lot of work for something free.
Yes.
Now imagine I'm asking you to give me money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do not necessarily need 31 Microsoft Word pages, but you do need to have enough space to be clear about what they get, why they care, and what difference it's going to make in their lives, as well as overcome all of the objections that they're going to have, not the least of which is, do I trust you?
Yeah.
And
how do you feel about video on landing and sales pages?
I like video on landing and sales pages, as long as it does not overtake or take place of the text.
It's there to help supplement and complement.
I don't care if they say the same exact thing.
Yes. Okay.
Just don't do just one. There's a reason.
Yeah.
So I have attention deficit disorder. I struggle to maintain focus. And one of the ways that that manifests in my world is I do not process audio very well.
Okay.
So it's funny. I love to talk on podcasts. I love to have a podcast. I can't listen to them. I just don't process it. I can't learn that way.
Yeah.
So if all you have is a sales video, am I getting that information?
No, it's not going to work.
But I will let that video play while I scroll down and read.
Yeah.
And there are other people who don't want to read it all, but they'll listen to you talk for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Having both will meet the needs of your audience.
Okay. Awesome. I love it. You've dropped some serious value here so far. I'm enjoying this conversation.
Me too.
If somebody's listening to this or watching, they're like, "Oh my God, I need this." What is it like to hire and work with the copywriter?
I can tell you what it's like to hire and work with me.
Okay.
And tell you that it should be similar no matter who you work with, but everybody's going to have their own differences.
Yeah.
I am also not the right copywriter for everyone. If someone tells you that they are the right copywriter for every single person, they're being less than truthful.
Yeah.
So for me, it can be very freeing. It can also be very stressful if you've never done it before. The way that I work is we get on the phone, we talk about what you need. I give you lots of ideas, sometimes too many. And then we kind of land on a plan. And I tell you what it would look like to have me help you implement that plan with the copy. Once you agree, I say, great, you're going to have your copy on insert date. And then unless I need something from you, I probably won't talk to you until that day. I am
You're right.
I am not a hand holder.
Yeah.
Which is one of the main reasons that I'm not the right copywriter for everyone, because they want that more interactive relationship, whereas I just kind of want to go in my hole and write.
Yeah. You want to get the information that you need, and then you take that and do what you need to do.
And do what I do. That's right.
Yeah.
And then we have the conversation afterward. Do you like it? Do you love it? What do we need to change? Let's make you happy. We talk about it. So it's not like I'm going to deliver it and run, but we're probably not going to talk as much as some people want. That being said, I will always deliver it on the date that I promise you. And just like with hiring anybody, there are people that may not. There are, unfortunately, that's a thing. Deadlines are not always a huge deal for a lot of people. But for me, it is.
The other thing that I think is important for people to understand too is, as a copywriter, they're getting like a Google Doc or a Word doc with all the content in it. Is correct? Is that the deliverable? Yeah, so they need to understand too. It's like, hey, you have exactly what you need to put on the page. If you're not the person to create that page, you need somebody else to create that page, but they have all the content they need.
Exactly. And so I do work with people who will build pages.
Yeah.
And usually during the initial call, we have that conversation about implementation. My personal experience does allow me to understand production. So I know what needs to happen, which is helpful. But you're right. I'll give instructions. I'll make notes. I'll say new section, this kind of background. I'll make it big and bold or headliney or whatever. But no, when I give it to you, it's not a website.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
So just understanding expectations, and then, financially to work with me is, again, there are varied levels.
Yeah.
I'm not the most expensive, but I'm definitely not the cheapest. All of my prices have a comma in them.
Yeah.
And so it's an investment to work with me.
As it should be. Yes. So, I want to talk about one more thing before we wrap, which is you've given a ton of value here.
Good.
A lot of really great information. One of the things that is pretty common to happen is people do this work, right? They set up a sales page or a landing page. They've got a funnel where they've got email that's helping support it after somebody opts in, and they're not working like they should. So what are your tips? What should people do when their funnel or their sales page isn't converting? I mean, how do we fix it?
I would like to answer this first with a quick story.
Okay.
I was on a call with a potential client who said, I'm not making sales from my funnel. I need a new sales page. Cool. So during our initial call, I was like, let me see what you've got. And I always ask diagnostic questions. And I said, well, how's your sales page converting? She's like, well, I've only had like 2 sales. I said, okay, out of how many hits? And I don't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
And she actually went into her analytics and found that it was like 2 sales out of 5 hits. Well, that's not a sales page problem.
Right.
Okay. So then we were able to go earlier in her funnel and look at her landing page and realize that her landing page needed to be fixed. She was driving a ton of traffic to the landing page, not seeing the sales, and assumed that it was the sales page, but she wasn't getting the leads. Okay. That brings me to teaching about conversion checkpoints. Okay. Everything you do is going to have a conversion element to it. If you're running an ad on Facebook, there's click, right? And then there's link visit. So are they reading the whole thing? Are they watching the video? Whatever. Interacting with the ad, visiting the link, registering, and purchasing. Each one of those is a conversion checkpoint where a breakdown can happen.
Yeah.
With an email campaign, opening the email, clicking the email, visiting the sales page. Each one of those is a breakdown where conversion, or a conversion checkpoint where a breakdown can happen. So the first thing that I need you to do is map out your conversion points and figure out the numbers at each one of those. Okay? How many people are interacting with your ad or your post? Cool. How many people are clicking on the link? Cool. How many people are opting in? How many people are buying? Because then we can see where that number drops. It may very well be that your post is very engaging, but it's not driving the click. So you're seeing a ton of engagements, no leads, and thinking it's the landing page. It's actually still just the ad or the post, right?
Yeah.
You may be thinking, I have 80,000 email opens, but no buyers. It's got to be the page. But if you don't have link clicks, it could still be the email.
Right.
Okay, so diagnosing where the breakdown happens is the first step. And oftentimes that's what leads us to finding a solution.
How do they know what numbers to expect at each checkpoint?
There are industry standards, and I'm actually going to drive you to a resource. I see this advertised to me all the time. It's WordStream.
Yeah.
Especially with ads. WordStream does a lot of research on benchmarks.
Yeah.
And so I can't sit here and give numbers because it is oftentimes very industry and or business specific.
Yeah.
The best place to check is look at a campaign that worked.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you sent a campaign that was just hot to your email list and you know, okay, I got a 20% open rate, of 10% click rate, blah, 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 compare your apples to your apples. Don't always look at outside oranges unless you have no Apple data to use. Then you can start using industry benchmarks. Typically, what I like to talk about my own conversion rates that I've been able to pull on landing pages and sales pages. But again, all I can say is this is going up against industry benchmarks.
Right. Yeah.
And then there are a few different things that will make up the success of your campaign. The copy, of course, is one of them. The traffic is another.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you sending qualified traffic? Are they the right people? Are they buyers? Are they leads? Whatever. And then, of course, the design has some part in it, which is why I said I understand the need to be graphically pleasing, as well as the offer. So the copy and the offer are very closely related, but they're not exactly the same. It's like putting lipstick on a pig, right? If the offer stinks, I can write the best copy in the world and it's still going to have trouble.
Yeah. But I also assume too that this is another reason why it's important to keep your funnels fairly simple, especially in the beginning. You know, if you have too many steps, all of a sudden you have all these checkpoints that you have to review, and it just makes it that much harder to diagnose where the breakdown is.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And you know, there are large companies that have these crazy funnels and they're sexy to look at. Right? As a marketer, I look at it and I'm like, oh man, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And then I think it must be a full-time job to manage the analytics on that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, like, my most successful funnel for myself is like 2 pages. Right? It's a group funnel. So I have a lead magnet that the thank you page drives them to a group.
That's it.
It's 2 pages. It's awesome. I was just featured on an event this week and I promoted this lead magnet and my page converted at like 89%.
So they opt in. When they opt in, they get directed to a thank you page, and the thank you page is offering somebody to go join your group.
My Facebook group to then engage with me more. That's the goal for that particular funnel.
Yeah.
It's 2 pages. And it does very well.
Yeah. That's awesome. Allison, this has been fantastic.
Awesome.
Any last minute words of wisdom or guidance you want to leave us with?
I really like what we just talked about as far as keeping it simple. And I know that's your platform. It's your thing. It's the
Yes.
simplicity. And I agree a bajillion %. Like, you do not need to be crazy complicated to get something out there. I would rather see bad copy than no copy, because bad copy can be improved.
Yeah.
I would rather see an ugly page than no page, because anything you do can be improved. We are, I like to say, this is the internet, not a stone tablet. It's fixable. It's changeable.
Yeah.
And so just give it a shot and then go from there.
Awesome. Where can people learn more about you? Because they should go learn more about you.
Well, I hope you do.
Yes.
And it's scrolling at the bottom of your screen if you're watching the
Yes.
video, but head
Yeah.
to AlysonLex.com/headlines. That's ALYSON. Thanks, Mom.
Yes.
LEX.com. And that will actually take you to that 2-page funnel that I just told you about. It's a 30-second headline generator that'll give you 6 more headline formulas than the one I gave you earlier. And you'll also then be invited into my Facebook group.
Awesome. If you've got an interest, you need copywriting, please, please, please reach out to Allison. I think she's shown during this conversation that she knows what the heck she's talking about.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Allison, I appreciate you taking the time. And thank you for those who are listening, watching. Again, I'm Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing. If you want to gain clarity on where to focus your marketing efforts right now, head on over to our website at rialtomarketing.com. That's RIALTO marketing.com. Click on the Get a Free Consultation button. I don't have a cool name for it, so I keep it at Get a Free Consultation. But guarantee you sit down and have that call with us, and you'll gain some clarity on where you need to focus right now. So thank you so much. Till next time, take care.